So it's the Discovery Park's Argyller campsite in Mount Isa. As I said, we're just here to get the windscreen changed this morning, and then we're off back to Northern Territory. It's not a bad campsite, it's very expensive though. Everybody's just lined up like the other ones, just pack them in. The toilets and showers are fine. Could do with a bit of renovation in there, but yeah, it did the job, but it's expensive. Right, so we're back at the Northern Territory border from Queensland. Our trip to Queensland has lasted a week and a day. We've filled out our forms. Hopefully we'll get across with no problems. It's a bit busy. We've got trucks, we've got mine workers with trailers. I don't know, all seem to be pulling up at them. I don't know what's going on there. So we stayed at a free camp last night. We've got a free camp tonight. The temperature's dropped. It was like 35 degrees yesterday, quite unpleasant. It's dropped about 10 degrees today, so we're expecting a much more comfortable night in a free camp. Free camps basically they're roadside camps. There's no power. There are some toilets, but yeah, hopefully we can get in there. It's not very far. It's only about another 45 minutes from here. Just hopefully all these other caravans are not going there as well. Alright, so we're back in the Northern Territory. Our trip to Queensland lasted a week and a day, but we've got everything done there that we need to do. We've got a nice new windscreen. No cracks, nice and clean. Now, yesterday we stayed at a free camp just north of Mount Isa, and it was 35 degrees. We couldn't sit outside. It was a bit too uncomfortable. 24 hours later, it's about 10 degrees cooler, and it's very windy, and we don't want to sit outside. So we sat inside the caravan in this free camp just over the border in Northern Territory. Totally different. And in fact, I think yesterday was probably the last stinking hot day we're probably going to get. If you think that we're heading down to Alice Springs in the next sort of 3 or 4 days, and then into South Australia in spring, it's not going to be 35 degrees again while we're down there. Crossing the Nullarbor in September, October, hopefully we can do that, because the COVID stuff will have been lifted by then. The only way we're going to get hot weather again, I think, is if we can't go through South Australia and we have to go all the way back up to Northern Territory and around the top. Then it'll get stinking hot again. But yeah, the hot weather's over now, I think. In fact, the forecast for Alice Springs, the nighttime temperatures is sort of 1-2 degrees. So we might be rugging up. We might having to be trying to keep warm. It'll be totally different to what we've experienced for the last few months. But yeah, we're back in Northern Territory. This free camp that we're at now, it's very popular. Sorry, what time? It's only 2 o'clock, but you'll see that there's quite a few people down that end, and there's a couple of people down that end, and so we're here in the middle, yeah, so we should have quite a comfortable night tonight. It's not going to be particularly hot, which is great. This is another free camp on the Stewart Highway, just outside Alice, about 30 kilometres from Alice, and it's right on the Tropic of Capricorn. And and we do have a plaque to prove that. Anything promising?
I can never see it until it's wet. If you can see it. That one's red.
No, they don't look much, but we're going to go.
That's, excuse me, that's 3.5 hours labour.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, that. A lot of digging and sifting. So we're going to go and get them graded now, and then we'll find out whether any of them are any good. So there we are.
It does look
impressive. There we are. Alrighty. Trees about. She's not going to make us. They look. Well,
Yeah,
some of these are drive through. Is she going to let us drive through? It'd be awesome if she did.
God, bloody hell, it's a big tree.
I don't know.
So that's what this sprinklers. Stop. So that's what this sprinklers. Oh, nice. Okay.
Right, can we go through forwards? It would be lovely.
I'll get out.
Have we got the whole of that or what? It'd be great if we drive through. Okay, coffee and cake this fortnight comes from my little cubby hole in the caravan. Okay, so this fortnight now, where have we been? We started in Queensland, Cloncurry and Mount Isa. There's nothing to report there. After that, we kind of did a dash to Alice Springs, so we didn't really do anything between Queensland and Alice Springs. But the first place we went to in Alice Springs that had coffee worth reporting was a place called House of Tallulah. Another day we went to a place called Stumps, and then we went to a kiosk at Ormiston Gorge, and we also had a coffee at the Botanical Gardens. And can you think of anywhere else, Helen?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, so that is the list of contenders for this fortnight. I will hand you over now to Helen's cubbyhole, and she will tell you who the winner is.
So the winner of this week's coffee and cake from the list that Rob's given you is House of Tallulah, which was a really lovely find when we first got into Alice. Good coffee, good cakes, and really lovely mural on the wall. House of Tallulah.
This is Ormiston Gorge in the West MacDonnell Range. There's a look out at that single ghost gum up there. But the path up to it is it's a bit of overkill. It's a little bit too manicured with these concrete steps here. I mean, it's rocky all around here. They could have left it natural just with rocky steps. I don't think they needed to come up here with the concrete mixer. This is where the ghost gum walk drops down into the floor of the gorge. So we've got all these gorge cliffs around us. Sun just catching them, giving them that lovely red glow. Or kind of ochre, I suppose it is. Not a sound, not a bird. Nothing, no water, just us breathing. Right, this is for Jasper. You see Jasper, we're having a coffee. Nothing's going to fall off here. We're not on the side of a mountain this time. I'll show you where we are. But Nam's got the cups wedged in those rocks there, they don't fall over. I'll show you where we are. We're in a gorge. And it's called Ormiston Gorge. There's some water down there. There's a little drop down there, but it's only like as tall as me, that drop. So it's not very far. And I'm sat on a rock. And Nan's going to sit on a rock, and we're just going to drink a coffee and have a piece of cake. So there we are. But what a nice spot for a cup of coffee, and it's perfectly safe. There's probably not any crocs in that water, and if there are any, they'll only be freshwater ones because we're about as far away from the ocean as you can get, so there's not likely to be any saltwater crocs in here. In fact, I'll categorically say there aren't any. But we haven't seen hardly any signs of life at all. We've not even seen many birds in here. But look at these lovely dark sort of brown orange rocks there. Cool. And there's Nan now, sat with a cake and a coffee, and all good. There you go, coffee break. Alright, I'm going to make cheese and Vegemite swirls in the Weber barbecue. I've not done this on this trip before. We have cheese and Vegemite swirls all the time. Now, Australians obviously know all about these. You don't need me to tell you how to make cheese and Vegemite swirls. But in Britain, you probably don't have these. Yeah, so you'll need Vegemite and cheese. Squeeze your Vegemite because we're in the caravan, spaces at a premium. Cheese already grated again, but normally I'd just use regular cheese and grate it myself. You're going to need a sheet of puff pastry, and we're going to spread Vegemite all over it, and then we're going to add the cheese. And then we're going to roll it up. Plenty of cheese. This cheese is really chunky. Difficult to roll because it was too chunky. Alright, so this has been in the fridge for a while. Now the advantage of putting it in the fridge is it makes the pastry quite hard, so it's a lot easier to cut without it all collapsing. There's a lot of cheese in there, but because it's big fat lumps of cheese, I got a feeling these things are going to burst open. Now I normally cook them on one end and then turn them over, but I think a lot of this cheese is going to flow out of here. Yeah, these are really loose. It's not good cheese. It's not good cheese for this. I should have grated my own. I was being lazy and now it's going to bite me on the bum. And then you just stick them in the barbecue, well, normally in an oven at about 220. With the barbecue it's a bit more trial and error. I've got it up to over 200 degrees, so let's see how that works. So whenever we have a picnic with the grandkids, I always make a big batch of these as a bit like a starter, and they tuck into them and they've gone in no time. But one time Oscar, number 3 grandson, came to me and said, "Why do you always make these, Grandad Rob?" And I said, "Well, because everybody likes them and they're lovely and they're easy to make and they're scrummy." And he said, "Well, I don't like them." And I kind of did a double take. And I said, "What do you mean you don't like them?" And he says, "Well, I like them," very tactfully, "I like them, but I don't really like them." So I thought about, okay, so I thought, well, I need to try and make something different. Maybe it's the Vegemite he's not keen on. So I thought about making something different. First of all, I thought about trying to make them with jam in. And Helen thinks that the jam won't really work. That's a shame because I was going to call them the Bob Marley swirls. Because they're made with jam in. But then I thought, what we'll try instead, if we can't make them with jam, we'll try and make them with Nutella. So I'm going to try some of those today. Okay, never made these before. I've no idea whether these will work or not. But these will be a lot easier because it's just the Nutella and none of the cheese, the lumpy cheese, which makes it difficult to roll them up. So I've no idea how much of this to put on. Oh, look at that. Alrighty. Might have to lick the knife now. Much easier without the cheese. Much easier without that lumpy cheese. Is there enough? Is there enough Nutella? I think there probably isn't. I think what we need to do just to make up for the end bits not having much. I think we need to put a bit on the end. Oh. A bit on that in there. Because the end bits didn't have much. There we are. Alright, again, wrap it up. Put it in the fridge. Make it easier to cut. Alright, so they're the Nutella ones, or the Oscars as they are now called. Alright, so we're going to have one with a cup of tea and
Haven't had to eat it.
yeah, what do you think? Still a little bit warm?
Good.
So I suppose they're a bit like
Pan au chocolat.
pain au chocolat, yeah.
Yum.
So like the croissant with chocolate in.
Very nice.
Maybe a little bit too puffy pastry.
No,
Not
nice.
falling
Do
apart.
those again. So what are you calling these?
So these are now called Oscars.
All right. Well, Oscars are very nice.
So when we're having a picnic, Helen will say, "Are you going to make some Oscars?" And I'll say, "Yep." And we'll,
I think I'll be saying, are you going to make some Oscars for morning tea?
yeah, definitely. All right, yeah, they work. They're very nice. So some of them have collapsed a little bit. They're a bit floppy. Helen's about to do her feet. This is charming when I'm sat there drinking my tea. That's all I want.
You're not filming that.
I am. Alright, cheese and Vegemite swells.
And we changed direction to face the hill.
There we are. Alright, they look a bit manky, but I'm sure they'll be fine.
I'm sure they'll be fine too.
Now that's it, to the best looking one, with the burnt cheese on it.
Of course.
A bit greasy.
Very good. So Oscars accompanied by tea, and cheese and Vegemite swirls accompanied by wine.
They don't give me indigestion of heartburn. I don't know what will. What about pastry? We've had a really healthy day today. We've had sausages, bacon, eggs, mushrooms, sourdough bread,
Baked beans.
and beans for breakfast. We had, what did you have?
Oh, scone.
Scone at lunchtime. And we came back and we've eaten all of those little Oscars.
So it's going to be a
With a cup
massive
of tea.
diet and a heap of exercise when we get home.
And now we've got a load of them to eat because we're not saving them, so we're eating them.
Oh God.
So that's our evening meal, is 4 cheese and Vegemite swirls and about half a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Not good.
Well, good, but not good.
And you've got to eat these while they're still warm. Not hot, warm.
Yeah, well, normally we have help, don't we?
Normally we've got kids eating them left, right and centre, apart from Oscar, clearly.
And daughters, actually. They're partial to Vegemite as well. Yeah, no, this has got to stop when we get home.
So we've had 5 days here, not moving. Just going into the West MacDonnell Ranges. And from tomorrow, driving for 2 days to get to Uluru. And then it's a couple of days in Kings Canyon. And then we've got a decision to make about whether to go back north and come around that way, or to go south into South Australia and just hope while we're there that the border opens. Tough choice. I know what I want to do, what my heart says, My head says something else. So our tea time, early evening glass of wine conversation is about what you might drop down a long drop toilet, or when you're emptying the toilet into a dump point. Well, stunning conversation. We're thinking about how
you could lose your sunnies,
sunnies, your phone out your pocket, anything,
cap.
and how it's almost like how you are when you're on a cliff, how you edge very gingerly towards the edge. It's the same with a long drop toilet. You make sure you've got nothing that you could drop apart from what needs to drop,
Because if you do, it's gone. There's no coming back.
so that's our scintillating conversation as the sun is setting.
Over a really pretty hill.
I'm not going to show you because there's people sat there, so but the hillside behind the campsite is kind of a reddy colour.